The metallic taste flooded my mouth before I even processed what I was seeing. It was 2:14 a.m. when my phone vibrated against the nightstand, casting blue light across my ceiling. One banking alert that turned my bedroom into a crime scene. Withdrawal confirmed, $36,842.19. I stared at those numbers, my fingertips suddenly ice-cold against the screen's warmth as my brain tried to reject what my eyes were confirming. This wasn't an error. This was theft. And I knew exactly who had taken it. My name is Olivia Taylor, I'm 30, and I built my life on responsibility. This is the story of how I learned that family ties sometimes need to be surgically removed. I called my father first, hands trembling as I pressed his contact. He answered on speakerphone, laughter and music pulsing in the background. My birthday week, and they were celebrating, with my money. Dad? Something's wrong with my account. My card's maxed. Did something happen? The pause lasted 3 heartbeats too long. You're always so dramatic, he snapped, voice hardening. The family needed help. Your mother had surgery. Nathan's truck broke down. And the mortgage was behind. I sat frozen, my free hand clutching my comforter so tightly my knuckles ached. Why didn't you ask me? His scoff traveled through the phone like a slap. We don't need to ask for what you owe us. Then my mother's voice cut through, that smug, careless lilt I'd grown up fearing. Besides, what were you going to do? Buy yourself cake and candles? You can celebrate alone. We had better plans. The silence afterward hung between us, heavy with 30 years of manipulation. That silence was my final birthday gift, I said, voice steady despite the earthquake in my chest. Don't ever call me again. I meant it. After hanging up, I moved like someone possessed, logging into every account, every autopay, every standing agreement. They thought because I was the responsible one, the one who made it, they had lifetime access to my veins. But that night, I became a scalpel. The mortgage, cancelled. It was in my name because my mother's credit couldn't qualify. Nathan's truck, repossessed by noon the next day. My bank called it unauthorized usage. Her student loan, frozen. My cosign revoked under financial duress. No warnings, no yelling, just surgical detachment. I turned my pain into paperwork, and their birthday gift to themselves became the moment they lost me. By morning, my phone blazed with notifications like radiation warnings. Missed calls, 17. Text messages, 23. The progression was textbook, anger, confusion, then suddenly saccharine sweetness. Asterisk Nathan, Olivia, the truck's gone. What's going on? Asterisk. Asterisk Mom, honey, did something happen with the mortgage? The bank says it's in default, asterisk. Asterisk Dad, just call us. We're family, asterisk. Family. Funny how that word only surfaces when the lights go out. I didn't respond. I was busy freezing my credit, changing passwords, calling every agency I needed to disconnect the lifelines they'd drained. They'd forgotten something critical. I wasn't just generous. I was the owner. The cosigner. The guarantor. The emergency contact they used like a damn debit card. They had mistaken my kindness for eternal permission. It wasn't the $36,000 that broke me. It was how easily they'd taken it. No guilt. No hesitation. Just a birthday ruined by the people who taught me what love should look like, then sold that image back to me with a forged signature. I opened my saved messages from last Christmas. Asterisk Dad, we're proud of you, kid. You're our success story, asterisk. Mom, we don't say it enough, but you're our miracle. I used to cry reading those. Now I just felt hollow. Because if I was their miracle, why did they turn me into an ATM with a heartbeat? I cancelled their lifelines with the same quiet they'd used to drain mine. And while they called, shouted, and pleaded, I took a long, deep breath. For the first time, I wasn't the fixer. I was the firewall. By Friday, desperation drove them to my doorstep. I watched through the peephole as my father paced the porch like he paid the rent. My mother stood in her leopard print cardigan, fake crying louder than the doorbell's chime. I didn't answer. I let them scream through the wood because screaming is just noise when it's not backed by respect. Olivia, you're ruining everything. We trusted you. How could you do this to your own family? I sat on my couch, sipping coffee from the mug they'd bought me 2 birthdays ago. It said #1daughter. Cute irony. When the doorbell finally stopped its assault, I opened my laptop and sent the final email to my lawyer: full disassociation paperwork, power of attorney revoked, financial ties dissolved. That included the family phone plan I'd maintained for 6 years, the streaming services, the utilities in my name because mom's credit was trash. Every single cord cut. That afternoon, my mother posted cryptically on social media, "It's always the ones you love most who hurt you the deepest." She tagged no one, but her friends flooded the comments. "You raised her too soft. She owes you everything. Kids today are so entitled." Entitled? I gave them everything, not out of duty, but because I believed in family until they weaponized it. I changed my number that night, leaving one final voicemail: "You chose your comfort over my trust. You broke what I spent a lifetime building. So now you can rebuild without me." Then I blocked every contact. No fireworks. No revenge plot. Just silence, the same kind they gave me when they drained my life for their convenience. And the silence was finally mine. 3 days later, a text from my cousin Jessica broke through. "Did you really shut off the gas at your parents' place? It's freezing, Olivia. They have no heat." I stared at the message for a full minute before responding. I didn't shut it off. I just stopped paying for it. No reply came, just 3 dots that appeared, disappeared, and never materialized into words. That silence echoed louder than any accusation. Later that day, Mom sent an email from an unfamiliar address. Subject line: "We didn't raise you to be like this." I didn't open it. I didn't need to, because here's what she didn't understand: she did raise me like this. They both did, by teaching me that love had to be earned. That loyalty came with a ledger. That my value depended on what I could give, fix, cover, or clean up. So when I shut off the gas, the truck, the mortgage, the loans, I was simply returning to sender all the years of neglect disguised as parenting. Dad once told me, family doesn't keep score. He said that right after I covered his second DUI fine. So I stopped keeping score, and I closed the account. I started therapy that month. My therapist asked, "When did you first feel responsible for your parents?" I answered without hesitation, "When I was 12, and Mom cried because she couldn't afford the electric bill, so I got a job sweeping hair at the salon after school." That was the first time I realized I'd been raising them, not the other way around. And now I'd finally grown up and left the children behind. I didn't feel guilty. I felt clear. Because sometimes choosing yourself feels like violence to people who only knew you as a resource. And I was no longer available for withdrawal. The family group chat was renamed without me. Family threads I had created were now repurposed to bury me alive. Screenshots landed in my inbox from Jessica. She didn't even write a message, just sent the receipts. "Nathan, Olivia's heartless. Asterisk mom, we gave her everything. Clothes, food, a roof, asterisk. Dad, she got fancy and forgot where she came from." Where I came from? Let me remind you, I came from eviction notices taped to windows. From watching mom fake seizures to get extensions on bills. From dad borrowing cash and calling it gifts I should be grateful to give. I came from survival. And I turned it into stability for all of us. But they didn't want stability. They wanted submission. They wanted me dependent, guilty, grateful, because my success made their stagnation impossible to ignore. So when I stood firm, I became cold. Heartless. Ungrateful. They conveniently forgot the dinners I paid for. The Christmases I made magical. The birthdays they never remembered but always expected me to fund. Jessica messaged again, "I know it's messy, but they're still your parents." I typed, paused, deleted, then wrote, "And if you break someone over and over, you don't get to be shocked when they stop coming home." I blocked the thread and muted the guilt. That night, I posted a single message to my small online circle: "Boundaries don't make you cruel. They just make the quiet easier to live in." Within hours, my inbox flooded with responses from strangers, friends, coworkers. "I needed this. I've been Olivia too. Thank you for saying what I couldn't. I didn't need the family's version of me anymore, their rewritten Olivia, the selfish daughter, the ungrateful sister. I had rewritten myself. And this version wasn't here for performative forgiveness. She was here to live. It was a Sunday, rain tapping on my windows like a soft warning. I lit a candle and made tea. For once, I was still. Then came the voicemail. Olivia, it's your mom. Your dad fell and broke his leg. We're at county. No insurance. They won't do the surgery unless we cover part of the cost. We know you're upset, but this is serious. This is family. Please just call back. For 3 minutes, I said nothing, just stared at my phone like it was a bomb. I knew that tone, the one she used when she wanted to yank me back into duty. The one that never came with apology, only urgency. I opened a spreadsheet and pulled up the numbers. I could pay it easily. But I also opened a folder on my desktop titled History. Inside were emails, screenshots, account statements, the time they overdrew my checking without telling me, the birthday they forgot while charging dinner to my card, the moment they stole $36,000 and called it helping the family. Suddenly that emergency didn't feel like mine. It felt like another trap dressed in blood ties. I didn't call back. Instead, I wrote a check, not to the hospital, but to myself. A deposit into my peace fund. Because the guilt was trying to climb back in, but this time I slammed the door shut. I texted Jessica, tell them I hope he heals. But I won't bleed again to fix their wounds. No reply came. And that silence, it didn't ache anymore. It felt like oxygen. That night, I slept with my window cracked and no phone by my bed. For once, I wasn't bracing for impact. I was resting. Because letting go of people who never saw your worth isn't cruelty. It's choosing to live. I walked into the wedding like I didn't owe anyone my softness. My cousin Kira was getting married, and despite the chaos, I refused to miss her day. She'd always been the quiet one who saw me before the career, before the fallout. But I knew they'd be there. Mom in a too-tight dress she couldn't afford. Dad in a cheap rented tux, leaning on a cane like the limp was a performance. The second I entered the hall, I felt them, not love, not warmth, just eyes tracking me, measuring the distance between memory and reality. I wore black satin, not to mourn, but to mark that I was no longer the daughter they owned. I was the woman they couldn't reach. They didn't approach me directly, but they didn't need to. Their glances screamed, talk to us. See what you've done. Fix it like you always did. But I didn't flinch. I sat with Kira's friends, laughed loud, danced hard. Let joy be defiance. During dinner, Mom walked past my table, paused, rested a shaky hand on my chair. You look different, she said. I met her eyes. I am. She opened her mouth, but I held up my hand. I'm here for Kira, not you. Her eyes glossed over, not from grief, but from loss. Because she finally saw what she'd thrown away. I was no longer the rescue boat. I was the lighthouse, shining from a distance, untouchable. Dad raised his glass during the toast and glanced at me like he expected some gesture of peace. I didn't blink, didn't raise mine. Peace doesn't come from pretending nothing happened. It comes from walking through fire and refusing to carry someone else's smoke. That night, I danced until my heels hurt. Sang until my voice cracked. Left without goodbyes. And when I got home, I took one last thing off autopay, my childhood. It's been a year since the stolen $36,000. Since the voicemail that broke more than trust. Since I stopped picking up their calls and started answering my own. The guilt doesn't hit the same anymore. It used to show up in my chest like a fire alarm. Now it's just a faint noise in the background, easily silenced with truth. The truth is, I gave them more than money. I gave them access to my beating heart, and they treated it like a debit card with no overdraft limit. Not anymore. I built something new, my own apartment, my own business, a circle of friends who don't say we're family just to hurt me slower. This birthday, I didn't get a call from them. Not a card, not a fake text, nothing. But I got a knock at my door. Kira, holding a cake with candles and a whisper, you were never the problem. You were just the first to escape. We lit the candles. We didn't make wishes. We just breathed. Because healing isn't always loud. Sometimes it's choosing not to reopen the door, even when loneliness knocks dressed in old love. I stopped chasing blood ties and started choosing soul ties, the kind that don't ask for your pieces as payment. The kind that don't drain you to feel full. The kind that call you not because they need something, but because they see you. Mom still posts cryptic status updates. Dad still plays victim in family circles. But their voices don't echo anymore, because I built walls out of self-respect. And I don't care what they say now, because I'm not theirs to ruin anymore. I'm mine. Fully. Finally. Free.